Hello, everybody. This is episode 7, The Force Awakens of the Heroes Edge Collectibles podcast. This is the C2E2, well, post C2E2 podcast that we were just there all weekend. At least these guys were. I was there one day because I had to work. No fun. But as usual, here are intros. I'm Blake Britton. To my right, Darren Cravenaugh. Even farther to my right, Danny Humphrey. And even farther, Cameron Cavett. No James this week. He was a special guest, but he was awesome. So before we begin, though, I'd like to give out a special thanks to some certain people that have been, listening and loving the podcast enough to, send us thanks per email or Facebook. And that person is Jesper C. from Denmark. So that means that the Heroes Edge Collectibles podcast has gone international.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. I think that's pretty awesome. If you guys want to say thanks as well.
Thanks for watching, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're the man, Jesper. From Denmark, that's awesome. Like, far reaches of the other end of the world.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Thank you much.
So, thank you, man. And then also, we'd like to thank Reed Pop for pretty much sponsoring and doing the C2E2.
They had an awesome show this year.
Phenomenal.
So much going on. We were making a whole episode about it. So
Yeah. Well, it's C2E2. It's the
plenty of time, plenty to talk about.
Biggest con of the year, easily. So, what do you guys think?
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's a loaded question right off the bat.
Like, it was. This is probably my fourth year going. Third year going, second year going all 3 days. But I had an absolute magnificent time from beginning to end. Reed Pop floors me with all the Artist Alley comic guests, and the entertainment guests were pretty good this year. There were years where it had been better, but this year was, I was able to focus a lot more on my comic art signings, and it seems to cater more to the comic fans.
Oh, for sure. Especially with the free signings.
Cons, I would say.
Yeah. Especially with the free signings, like you were just saying. You could go up to almost any of them and get a free signature.
Yeah.
For the most part, you had to wait.
Yeah.
I know Cameron was in line with Greg Capullo for, what is that, 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours. First thing I did, ran over to Greg Capullo's line, and I was literally the last one. I got so lucky. The line was capped, and he was just the coolest. He came to the back of the line first thing and just said hi to everyone, said his wife was setting up the table, and that, just wanted to say hi. And this guy offered to buy him a beer. He's like, hey, I want to buy you a beer. He's giving him $20. He's like, no, dude, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do that, man. He's like, no, come on. He's like, all right, fine. Takes the money. He's like, but we're getting a picture, and I'm going to hold the money up. I'm going to put it on my, Facebook.
Awesome.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
And that was a really lucky thing because, I tried to get into that dude's line all weekend, and it was capped.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show you how insane of an artist and writers are on that Batman run, and it got the most attention of the con by far.
Easily.
Yeah. Longest lines, and it was so neat because he had a Black Label Society hoodie on.
Yeah, the BLS.
And I love Black Label. They're such a great band. And I was just like, yeah, complimented him on it. And he's like, this is my bat suit. He's like, I have more Black Label Society shirts and stuff like that. That Batman's, Bruce Wayne's suit is Batman, and that's my suit.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Very cool.
That's awesome. So what do you got to take from it, Darren?
Oh, I spent a lot of money, as you can see. I picked up a copy of New Mutants '87 for Experience Cable.
Nice.
Only cost me $150.
Only.
Yeah, well, it's worth it. Totally
Yeah,
worth it
well,
considering
it's a
that.
deal.
And
Cable's your man.
once they drop his name, well, of course, because he's the son of Cyclops.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment that they drop the name of whoever's going to play him in the next Deadpool movie, that thing's just going to skyrocket even more. So glad to have it. Glad to say it's in my collection.
That's a good point.
It's only bound to go up from here. He's obviously been slated to be, an absolute second character in the next Deadpool movie. So
Good financial investment, man.
It's just something I'm glad to say I have in my collection.
It's
For
funny
sure.
because we were actually talking about picking up the comic, and in January, and from that name drop from the Deadpool movie alone, it literally went from $60 comic to
Yeah.
115, 120.
Well, the same with another book I was looking for and didn't purchase, but was the first appearance Apocalypse, which is, well, technically the first appearance is X Factor 5, but X Factor
Cameo
number 6
appearance.
is the first full appearance. And that's ever since he was, since they mentioned X-Men Apocalypse, the movie, the thing's gone up to, it's up to about 60 or 70 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you that, like, with all these movies that are coming out, and it's nonstop because, Hollywood are running out of ideas. And let me tell you, like, there's no loss of ideas when it comes to, like, the comic book industry. There's a billion of them.
For sure.
So it's not going to stop. Like, all these characters in comic books are going to end up going up in value just because of, so much notoriety coming from Hollywood based upon that stuff.
Even the smaller stuff like Outcast. I was just talking about that last week on our Image special, and when we were there, me and Danny saw at several booths that book. Now that it's picked up for Cinemax, it's going to come out this year. $30 to $50 book.
Easily. And I just, because we know Bernthal just got signed up for Punisher.
Yeah.
The reason I went to C2E2 is to get that thing slabbed because I have a VF Plus writer. I'm hoping it's a VF Plus, if that's the case. But that was my reasoning for going. It's all business.
I actually got a book slab too.
Yeah.
Since I wasn't able to get into that damn Capullo line, I took my Batman #1 and got that one slabbed. So
That's awesome. New 52 Batman?
Huh? Yeah, New 52.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So hopefully I'll get that back. Same as you, Very Fine Plus, like in a couple of months. So
I'm hoping for an 8.
yeah, right.
That's. I think that's pushing
I'm
it though.
hoping for a 9.0 plus, man.
9.0 plus, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was like the other book I brought there. Well, I brought 2 other ones. One of them was the Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller from '86.
Very cool.
The book 1, and I'm pretty sure that's a 9.2 plus.
Nice.
Easy.
Nice.
So it's unread. Like the binding just looks beautiful.
Speaking of Frank Miller, I actually got my Wolverine #1, who Frank Miller did.
Yeah.
Signed by Chris Claremont. So, like, that was an absolute honor to meet him.
Yeah, if you don't know, he's pretty much like the godfather of the X-Men.
Easily.
He wrote,
Yeah.
I want to say, for at least 20 years. Architect behind, like, the Phoenix Saga, Executioner's Song, Mutant Massacre,
Days of Future
He
Past.
goes back to
Inferno,
late
Days of
60s.
Future Past, yeah.
And
No,
recently,
he was the 70s. Because he didn't jump on until after we had the new team.
Yeah, which Giant Size #1 came out in 1971.
74.
Well, he was doing at least 3 or 4 issues before that comic. Like, I want to say Uncanny X-Men 96.
Really? I thought
That was new team.
I thought he jumped on after that.
Well, in any case, it's
But yeah,
late
he's-
60s, early
yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
Co-creator of Gambit, who I know you don't like.
one of the most recent series.
that.
Throw you under the bus on that one.
Recent series he wrote me and you really dug was Nightcrawler.
Yes.
That was amazing. That Death
Awesome
of
book.
Wolverine issue.
Awesome book, and it's a shame. Well, what's funny is I talked to him about that because I also got a bunch of stuff signed by him. I can't think of the issue off the top of my head, but the issue where Jean Grey as Phoenix dies, the X-Men are fighting the Imperial Guard to keep her alive, all that kind of fun stuff. I got that signed by him. That was one of the first X-Men comics I ever read. And so brought that. I had Nightcrawler #1, which was my variant cover by Humberto Ramos, who I had signed the year previous.
Very cool.
So I had Chris Claremont sign it, and I also had the Death of Wolverine issue, which, in my opinion, in that entire series of Death of Wolverine, the Nightcrawler issue was the only good one. And I know what you think. And
I agree completely.
and so I went up to him and I said, and I said the same thing, that this is the best one out of the entire series. And he's like, that's not the story I wanted to do. I'm like, really? And so he proceeded to explain that the story he wanted to do was, so Wolverine's dead, the X-Men are taking it hard. A group of X-Men, accompanied by Nightcrawler, go up to a mountaintop close by to the mansion, light a fire at night, and just start telling stories. Well, each X-Men will tell a story, and as we go through the book, we'll see that each one of the X-Men telling the stories is one that has died and come back. And as we, the reader, start to realize that, the X-Men start to realize that, hey, I died and came back, you died and came back. And so they kind of start to get more, hey, well, what are we really so down and out about? Yes. He'll be back. And that's when Nightcrawler shows up and says, well,
Who
here's the
literally
thing.
came back from heaven.
Yes.
Yes.
And he says, you brought me back from heaven. Well, Wolverine's there now, which I kind of would maybe...
I would question that a little bit.
But he's up
he's-
there
he-
now with the redhead, with Jean, because
Yeah.
Jean's been dead since Grant Morrison's run, and they haven't brought her back. Well, sort of. Anyway, and so why would he want to leave heaven if he's with Jean? And the rest of the X-Men get kind of somber about that, and it ends on that note.
Man.
And I'm like, that would
be
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
That
He's
was
like,
a story.
and he's like,
That would've
well,
been amazing.
the
Yeah.
editors.
Shit, son.
It beats that sob story that they
But
did
stop,
right.
Why would you question that he would be in heaven?
Well, he's kind of murdered a lot.
He
of
did, but he
Let's
was also
be
good natured
careful on
behind
that.
it.
Oh man.
Let's
murder.
be careful on that because he is not a murderer.
No, but he
He's a killer.
yeah, and I would say,
And
but
there's a hell of a difference.
he generally had good intentions behind it though. That's why
exactly.
that's why it's questionable. But still,
if
you
he's
don't.
a murderer, then what soldier is a murderer?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Well,
He's a soldier.
depending
for
on your
America.
depending on your religious beliefs, it could be questionable. Anyway, the
Back to
idea
Chris
is,
Claremont.
is that Nightcrawler brings up that he would be in heaven with Jean. He wouldn't want to come back. Everybody gets somber, and so he's like, "I want that story. I wanted to do." I'm like, "Well, why weren't you able to do it?" And he's like, "The editors didn't want it."
yeah,
Which
Who are
was
they
a
to
thi-
question
Well,
that
which was
man?
yeah. Why would you question Chris?
Well, here's
Claremont
the
of all
thing.
people?
There's
Lord.
well, he did an X-Men run. Like he did his run like for those 20 years. I think he left somewhere in the 90s, and then somewhere around the 2000s, he did another arc that really kind of sucked. Love the guy. It kind of sucked, but so I could see maybe why they might have questioned
Yeah.
it. But the thing was, I read an article about this. Is that Marvel pretty much told him when he jumped on Nightcrawler that he could not make any new mutant characters. And the reason being is because that would give Fox more characters that they could use for their movies.
Okay, so
and
it was
they
like
didn't want
more
that.
legal reasons and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
But-
right.
Hey
But just
kids,
talking
remember
to-
when we were talking about the Terrigen Mist? That also supports what Darren
Exactly.
just said. No more New Mutants.
Yeah.
It's their dicks.
Well, I can't spoil anything because this is what we just talked about.
Yeah.
For those of you who read Extraordinary X-Men #8, think about it.
Okay, so
Well, then if you look at
that was the most unspoilery spoiler ever.
I couldn't spoil it too hard. I mean, come on.
you could also mention that this new Civil War II crossover is actually going to have an X-Men tie-in, which is kind of rare. We didn't really expect that, but Uncanny X-Men versus Extraordinary X-Men.
Yeah.
So
In any case, though, like just meeting Chris Claremont, being able to shake that man's hand, like he's had such an effect on my life personally. Like, just being like a young little fat kid in school, like I was ousted. Seriously, you can laugh
I
all
don't
you
mean to
want,
laugh. I don't mean to laugh, baby.
but I was ousted by like a bunch of other kids and turned to comic books and turned to the X-Men, which were like all ousted in their society.
That's a good point.
And I was able to turn to this superhero team that I could identify with. And I met like a best friend through it.
Yeah.
And, like me and Darren have shared like, X-Men comics and stories and a love for that title for like damn near 30 years now.
Yeah.
And like I shook the man's hand and I pretty much said that it was almost like a spiritualistic thing to meet that dude.
That'd be amazing.
You know what I mean? And like he was just blown away and overwhelmed by the whole thing, and didn't really even feel like he could meet up to those expectations, but he already has. Like with everything that like he's written and everything he's done over the years, like it was really like meeting a hero. So even I would say over Stan Lee, because we've met him too.
And
Slightly briefly.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was more on an individualistic manner.
Well, that makes sense though. I
It's
mean,
the magic of con, man.
yeah. Well, he wrote the books that you remember from your childhood. That's history. That's nostalgia.
There are certain lines from X-Men that he is famous for, which is like, oh, I thought you died. Oh, I got better. Like things like that. Or Nuff Said. I mean, I know
Nuff said, yeah.
I know that's more of like Stan Lee says that a lot. But there were like every other X-Men title, like Nuff Said, Nuff Said, Nuff Said. Like it was in like all the good ones. Like when Uncanny 275 when the X-Men are like fighting the there's Skrulls who had taken over the Imperial Guard and like Gambit kicking Gladiator's ass. Like, God, that was so awesome. You know, he was responsible for all of that. You know, it was just meeting the man. I was like, that Capullo being there, that's great. Snyder being there, that's cool. McGinnis, he's a great guy. Also because he's a Nightcrawler fan.
Yes.
But my whole reason for even any of that was to go meet Claremont.
Yeah.
I did it. I was
His
happy.
line was the second biggest line.
I was gonna say
That's why I
searched-
actually didn't want to go into it. I already braved a 2.5 hour line for Capullo. I just looked at it and I was like, I can't do it, man. I just can't do it right now. And I only had that Nightcrawler #1. If I had the history like you guys had and had his collected works from throughout the years and grew up on it like childhood wise, I would have too. But Capullo was my Chris Claremont for this one.
That's awesome because I remember I just saw you in the Claremont not Claremont the Capullo line, and I'd taken a picture for you with Capullo. And I remember asking you, I'm like, where's Claremont? Because I've been looking for him for a long time.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, he's probably not at his booth then, because you would see a line, you know?
Yeah.
And he was the one I wanted to meet too.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about him is because the only reason there was really a line is because he would take about 5 to 10 minutes with each person that came up there. Because, I mean, as far as I know, the last time I heard he was at a con was like Wizard World, like maybe 5 years ago. And I was like, oh, Claremont's going to be there. Oh, I don't feel like paying $75 for a Saturday ticket, which is a little bit is exaggerating, not really. And so he hasn't showed up since, or at least anywhere local. And then all of a sudden they're like, Chris Claremont's going to be here. And
yeah, like blown away. And, you know, I mean, obviously we're not like going to, you know, bash any other convention. It's just with this convention, we've found that it just seems to like cater to its fans just a little bit more. You know what I mean? There's not tons of like monster booths or Gillette sensor booths or like, you know, stuff like that, like sellout stuff. I you know, but there's just more catering to the fans.
it's also
simple.
It's newer. It's more friendly. When you go there, everyone's usually really cool.
Oh, for
You'll
sure.
find with a lot of older cons that have kind of gone that path with it. It's just business. It's just working you through. And if you talk to a lot of people in Artist Alley, like the people who work it, they'll agree. It's like, you go to some of the other ones, it's all about celebrities, it's all about business and stuff like that. You go to these ones, you know, everyone's just having a good time. It's about what you're there to, you know, whatever your geek thing is, it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's anime, there's pops. I mean, Jesus, there was you know,
I couldn't even tell you how many
all over the place.
pops there's.
And you go to a con like this, you know, there's a little bit of everything for you.
Yeah.
I mean, they had that Lord of the Rings booth that had that like $700 smog, like, or not smog, the Balrog and stuff like that. You have Lord of the Rings, you have like mech stuff. You have the 501st is running around in their armor. Like
endless anime stuff.
Yeah.
one thing, if you ever go, it's something I suggest. Go find the 501st booth. If you don't know who they are, the Vader's Fist, there are chapters of them all over the place. They dress up like stormtroopers. Get a free lanyard, and it'll say droids on it. And they do a thing called Droid Hunt. And as you're just walking around the con with your little Droid Hunt, you know, lanyard on, some way, if the stormtroopers see it or the Imperial Guard see it or whatever, they'll come up to you and be like, how many seasons have you had those droids? They'll do the whole thing with you. And
That's
then
awesome.
they'll take it from you and they'll give you a raffle ticket. And then you go to their booth at the end of the day and they do a free raffle. You don't even have to pay anything to do it.
I was staring. I was looking at their booth for the longest time, and I saw just a big giant bowl of lanyards.
Yeah. It's
And
awesome.
I didn't even think to take one because, for those of you who don't know, this is my first C2E2 con. But I would have loved to do that, man, because I saw stormtroopers all the time. all
yeah,
over the place.
it's just a really cool thing.
And there's plenty of those events like throughout the whole convention.
for sure.
Like, you know, like there's plenty of panels, lots of free stuff. I mean, you can go to this show and not have $1, and if you have a ticket to get in, you can be busy all day long.
For sure.
Which is awesome.
I mean, the only thing I paid for was an Amazing Spider-Man 316, and to get my books graded, and that was it. And I got. Speaking of which, we'll talk about this later. But yeah, I walked away with a ton of stuff. I mean, granted, I'm a retailer and I could, you know, kind of do my retailer
Another thing that I
but
kind of appreciated about this convention over other conventions that I've been to is the layout and the construction of the convention is very well done. Like, they literally, I want to say herd you like cattle, but they point you in the direction of the convention, and there's rows upon rows, and it's gridded out. And even Artist Alley has an A through Z 1 through 20. And you can go online They have an app.
And it's a very nice app.
It's an awesome app. You can go on the app and you can pre-con lay out your trip, and they will give you alerts on what panels are coming up. They will give you alerts on all schedule changes, and you can find any numbers of artists that you want to on and select schedule, add to schedule, and it runs smoothly through. It takes you smoothly through your convention.
That's awesome.
It's really, really helpful.
Yeah,
in many ways.
I usually download it about a month before the con and then delete it like a month after.
Yeah.
And you'll get constant updates on people who have signed up for the convention. Oh, this person from Game of Thrones is going to be there. Oh, this person from Sons of Anarchy are going to be there.
At this booth, this day, these times.
That's
And
pretty
if
cool.
you want to add to schedule, boom, it's like that simple. You just add it to your schedule, and you'll get like a pre-alert to when like they're going to be signing and stuff.
And you can even set that 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. How early do you want to be notified that this event's going down? And it's just really interactive and convenient.
That's
Yeah.
sweet.
It's awesome.
All right, so we talked a lot about Artist Alley. Danny, I understand that you got an interview with Scotty Young, the guy that we renown on here.
This just kind of came out of nowhere. I was waiting in his line, maybe about 20 minutes or so. Just got through talking with James Holzrichter for a little while. He came over and he's like, I don't know if I want to stay in the line or not. I'll catch you later or something. I was like, cool, I just rounded the bend and they had capped the line right behind me. So I was like the second to last person in his line. I was like, worth it. I'll stick it out, And it kind of came up into my head. I'm like, well, maybe he'll kind of say hello to the fans or something for a second, This was like my third year actually seeing him. And every year previously, like the first year I went and seen him, I got his a print of his and like a bunch of books signed. The second year, same thing, got a print and some books. And I also got his first Land of Oz book and his hardcover signed. And then this year I asked if he had the second one, and he did, so I got that one signed as well.
That's awesome.
And he was gracious enough to give me a few minutes, and I filmed that, and he's just gonna say hello a little bit to the fans, and I'll let Andy take it away from here.
Yeah, and here it is.
With Heroes Edge podcast. I'm here with Scotty Young. Please say hi to all your fans. We love you to death.
Hello, all my fans. You love me to death.
We absolutely love Fairyland. I hate and the fluff Fairyland.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely all your work on Marvel. And we can't wait to have you on the show.
Thanks.
And thank you once again for doing this little video
Thank you
for
so
us.
much, man. I appreciate it.
And say hi again.
What's up? What's
From
up?
C2E2, what's up? I'm Dan. Have a great weekend, guys.
And that was really cool.
Yeah, it was so very cool for him to just say hello and to give his time during his convention, because those guys, they do commissions all day long, and they have signings for continuous 5 hours straight, and they only have a little bit to go to the washroom, get something to eat, and then they have to be back again. So it was really very nice of him to do what he did.
I'm hoping one day he'll phone in on one of our conversations, because I know I've kind of poked at him over Twitter.
Yeah,
a few times, and he's
I
interested.
think it would be so cool to since he's based out of Iowa, to see if one day he would like to come on.
Yeah,
I swung by his table too, man. I got a couple of my Fairyland books signed. Last year, I actually got my Magneto #1 variant that he did signed, where he's got all the silverware, makes his helmet up. So cool. Talked to him for a little bit, just said how much I appreciated those articles we mentioned last week that he puts in the beginning of Fairyland #1 and at the end of #5. And he was just so cool and humble, gracious, awesome dude.
Yeah, he's definitely an artist that is appreciative of the fans that he has.
I felt extra cool too because most people had Marvel variant covers. I'm like, Fairyland's his thing.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
One of these days, I will find my way to the beginning of the C2E2 line on a Friday morning, and then get to his booth first and be like, could you please do me a commission?
I know, right? Because this is the thing about the conventions, because those guys are only there for 3 days. Unless you go online and ask them previous to the convention and sign up for a commission that they'll send you through the mail, because a lot of these artists will do so, and feel free to contact your favorite artist and get a commission done, because that's awesome. That's how they get by other than their comic book work.
For sure.
But these guys only have 3 days during that con to get those commissions done. So literally they'll have a list of like 5 to 7, sometimes more. And at the beginning of the commission, the first 5 to 7 of people that sign their list and pay them, that's their commission cap for the day. And they will not do any more, because they have only that day to get those commissions done, because an artist can only draw so quick and so fast to get a worthwhile picture done for, their, the person that bought it. So,
because they got to juggle the signings they're doing in between all that, as well as, like you said, living, just eating and taking breaks and that. They're constantly getting
there was a point where me and Cameron actually had a similar experience where we caught McGinnis right as his line ended, and he was done because he had to do commissions for a while. But he was still cool enough to be like, all right, let these guys through. I'll sign their books, but then that's it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
When I went over there, it was like you said, there's no one there. And I know I told you already, but he was just about to head to the Marvel booth and do Marvel booth stuff, like official. And they were like, well, he's going over there. You could probably, just get in line. And I was like, all right. And I already had my books out. And she's like, well, let me see what books you got. His handler or whoever's with him. And the one book that caught her eye was Amazing X-Men #1. And she's like, ooh, he really liked this book, and he hasn't got to sign one. So she pulled him over, and he was cool enough to sign them all. Thank you so much, Ed, if you ever see this. And I asked him, just who's your favorite character to draw? If he had to separate it, DC and Marvel. And just without hesitation, he said Nightcrawler.
Yeah, that's why he's awesome.
Yeah, as much as Darren loves Cyclops, you said your favorite is Nightcrawler.
Favorite's always Nightcrawler. Will always be Nightcrawler.
So, I mean, just like a really great guy to be able to do that, and just to make an extra time for, a hardcore fan that he sees that it's just like, can you kind of squeeze me in or something? Yeah. It was very cool that he was able to do that for us. So, big shout out to Ed McGinnis for that.
Yeah, last year I got a commission, and that's the thing is you can take a blank, sketch cover to a con, and like you said, a lot more of the more renowned guys have a limit. They have time frames they got to work on. But Artist Alley is full of a lot of independent artists, which is great. And last year I found a more independent, lesser-known artist to do a cover for me for $25, and it was a Superior Iron Man blank cover, and I had him draw Batman on it because Batman is the superior Iron Man.
I love that. I love that comic, by the way. I think that's awesome.
Get out of here.
It's just so funny. So yeah, I mean, it's just another great place to go to support local artists as well. Totally. So besides all those mega popular Marvel artists, DC artists, Image artists, there is just a super ton of local artists that are trying to get their name out there and be recognized in comic books. And some of this art you'll pass up and you're like, dude, is that guy professional? Mm-hmm. There's no way that guy's not professional.
I saw some killer stuff when I was walking through there. Mm-hmm. And there were names that I've never seen before. I'm like, interesting.
But you give those guys the time of the day, and all of a sudden they're going to blow up. Mm-hmm. So
the only art that I recognize going through that I've seen, say on Facebook or stuff like that, it's been going around recently, where it's like the alphabet, but it's like a geek alphabet. So you have A is for Akbar, and you have some nerdy guy pointing a gun at Admiral Akbar, and he's like, say the line, and Akbar's like, no. And then they have C is for canceled, and it has a baby version of Jane Cobb from Firefly, and he's crying.
I was going to ask if they went there.
That's brutal.
Yeah, they have, it's just going through the entire alphabet, and I can't think of the artist's name off the top of my head, but he was there, and he had the two books that are A through, it's just both of the alphabet and stuff like that, and it just has all of his geek pictures of them doing, all the geek things in it. And that was the only one that I've seen online or anything like that. But a lot of these other artists I haven't seen, and they're all amazingly talented.
Like Danny said, there's 2 rows on each side of this thing for every letter of the alphabet. It's as big as a block, man. Yeah, it's just massive.
Yeah, it goes from 1 to 18, and then A through Z.
I was gonna say it was
so
one of the
biggest
biggest
goes
sections.
to show you how many tables are.
I mean, that was a majority of my Sunday.
Yeah,
a majority of my Sunday. I'd walk through and be like, I like that, and try not to drop money right away, and
Right.
remember where everything's at, and then like go back and spend wads of cash, which was somewhere about maybe 150. But yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Did you get any? What kind of? Did you get some cool prints and stuff?
I got a lot of cool prints, just not by like big, except for Ben Templesmith was the only one
Nice.
that was a big name. The rest of the arts were just all local people.
He was so
awesome. Like
cool.
that.
I got
That's
to get a
awesome.
picture with Ben Templesmith. That guy is a true gentleman. I visited him the past 3 years there. He is awesome. He's one of my favorite artists. I got his Black Holers book, a limited edition. It's 138 out of 500, and got to talk to him for a while. He's just really awesome guy.
Well,
So shout out to Ben Templesmith.
A friend of ours, they ended up going last year, and they actually were like, all right, they're a Ben Templesmith fan, and they got they were going to get him to do an actual commission. So paid up the cash, and for some reason or another, he couldn't do it there at the con. Like he was going to have to leave or something like that. So he gave them.
Last year at the con, he had an unfortunate family loss.
Yeah. So he got they exchanged phone numbers, and sure enough, in the mail, like they text him a couple times, like, oh, how's it going, stuff like that. Oh, pretty good. Sure enough, they get this amazing picture of Pyramid Head. Just amazing.
I've seen it too. It's really cool. And James, who was here this weekend, got a original commission from him too.
Nice.
It was a fantasy concept he came up with for an old like family crest, and it was like a hand with arms coming out of the mouth. It's like a cannibal family crest. He could describe it better than I was, but it was amazing. He ordered it Friday. It was done on Sunday, and it turned out really amazing. Next year, I want to get an original piece of art.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, I've heard of him before, but our
30 Days a
friends,
Night for people who don't know him more regularly.
And what was
30
that Batman title he was on for a while?
Gotham by Midnight, which was also done by Ray Fox and him, and it was amazing. It was so cool.
I was just trying to think. I know that name, but I'm trying to think of like an actual title.
Squitter.
Yeah,
that the book,
Squitter. I
Squitter?
bought that last year. It was 4-issue miniseries, and it's really great.
Yeah.
He
the
really
guy's-
has this amazing style of artwork that like collaborates Hatch ink work and watercolor. And it's just, it flows so well together.
Yeah.
Like some of the coolest watercolor I've ever seen.
And for
So-
any of you who are Doctor Who fans, I know he did a issue or two, or at least cover of, I can't think of the cover, but he did the 10th Doctor, and it just looks amazing. And that was one of the prints he has, the 10th Doctor by the TARDIS. And it's actually one of my favorite pictures, like comic book pictures. It looks like the character, but it's so much just driven in his own style. It's an amazing amalgamation.
And he often does work that's out of the comic industry. He's done Breaking Bad stuff. So it really like depends on, what you want. You can bring ideas to him, and he won't turn you down. He likes the challenge of it seems. So
That was a $50 drop for me at his booth.
It seems worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing too about how you said our friends got that print. He did the same thing for James. He gave him his phone number, and he does that with people.
Yeah.
He just text me. He said no one's ever abused it except for one guy, which it's more of a personal story. We're not gonna go into,
Personal story.
but yeah,
But he had to change his number, but nobody really abuses
creeper,
it past
but
that.
yeah. Oh, that's pretty. And then he just after Jim picked it up, he deleted his number, and he said his fans are typically really cool. We each got a picture with him. He's awesome.
Yeah. Really nice guy.
That's pretty sweet. So, did you guys see anybody else really cool?
Ryan Otley. From
Otley,
Invincible.
yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
ahead,
up.
man.
But yeah, I wanted to get a sketch from him on Amazing Spider-Man #1, but at that time I didn't have the money he was asking for. So instead I just bought some prints off of him and got to talk to him a bit and got some signed stuff. One I got was Venom with his mouth open, almost like a shark, and Spider-Man's mask is in his mouth and it says gulp. And another one is the Incredible Hulk, who has Superman around his hand and upside down by his head and wrote in blood, "Hulk was here."
That is awesome.
As much as
Lord.
I'm a DC fan,
Good
Hulk
Lord.
is strongest.
Yeah.
Hulk is strongest.
That's vicious. Just taking on Superman.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it was really cool.
So I know Jay Lee was there too. Didn't you get some signs from
Yep,
Jay
got
Lee?
my Batman Superman New 52 #1 sign and the annual. And I asked him too what his favorite character to draw, and he said Batgirl. Surprisingly,
Batgirl, nice.
pretty cool.
That's really cool. I went in his line and I had seen a commission that this couple were just picking up from him, and they had commissioned to him to do as a wedding present for the groom. And it was a really cool picture of Batman on the head of a dragon and then a line coming down from the head of the dragon, and tied up at the end of the rope were the groom and bride in their wedding gown and tuxedo.
Wow.
Like hanging from Batman's rope, like he was like saving them from the situation.
Wow.
And it was such a cool picture to see. Like it was nothing but ink and like smudged pencil work. And it was awesome. It was really, really awesome
That's
to see.
crazy.
Like a cool, like it looked like about like, you know, a 15 by 18 image.
Yeah.
You know, but really neat.
How
So-
cool is that, man? I mean, that's a wedding gift. It reminds me of last year when we went and saw that Jay and Silent Bob live podcast. Afterwards, we all go down to the hotel bar and we're just hanging out, and we saw a successful wedding proposal. It's like,
Yeah.
how awesome is that, you know?
Yeah. Actually, you know, Ben Campbell and Stephanie I forgot her last name. Whatever, Stephanie. Ben proposed over there as well.
Really?
And she said yes.
That's
Oh,
good.
I thought
that's
that was
cool.
pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congrats to them.
Yeah, I met him over at the other shop. He does his cosplay around town. Green Arrow, Captain America, Ghostbusters.
Will he be here for like free comic book day?
No, I tried to get him.
Oh,
but
okay.
he was already tied up. I mean, I caught him kind of late though. It was like
Right.
It was like a month ago. You know.
Well,
Get the word
one
out.
thing I didn't-
EdgeCon. It's
Edge
coming.
can.
One thing I definitely don't want to slip by is I got a chance over the like Saturday and Sunday to talk and speak with Frank Cho quite
Yes.
a bit.
Yes.
When I first met him, I got an art book signed by him, a hardcover art book, and I bought his new art book, which is a Teach Me How to Draw Anatomy of what he does. And it's just such an amazing art book. He signed that for me. And I was looking at his prints, and he had like 3 Shanna prints of like her with dinosaurs. And then one that I actually got was called Weak Limb, and it is a picture of Shanna, like that a tree limb had snapped and she fell out of the tree, and she's like at the bottom of the tree, and like she's like looking there all stupefied, like she just fell out of a tree.
That's awesome.
So, but it was excellent artwork. So I ended up coming back from that Sunday with Cameron, and we just took a chance and we went up to Mr. Cho and asked him if he would like to say hi to his fans. So
yeah,
we
you got an
actually
interview.
have another interview with Mr. Frank Cho.
We really did get lucky too, man, because there was lines all weekend for him, and he was so cool about it.
I mean, you know, from all the way back from Liberty Meadows until now, which he does Incredibly Awesome Hulk, and
Yeah.
he's consistently busy
Isn't it
through
Totally
the
Awesome?
comic book industry, huh?
Totally awesome Hulk, right?
Totally Awesome Hulk.
All right,
yeah.
but anyway,
Incredibly totally.
before we get too far, let's show that clip.
Yeah.
Here's Frank Cho.
This is Dan Humphrey with Heroes Edge Collectibles podcast. I just want to say hi again from C2E2, and I have the esteemed honor of meeting Mr. Frank Cho here. I've kind of bugged him all weekend, grabbed a couple prints from him, grabbed his book, and I just wanted to say hello to him once again and give him a chance to say hello to all of his fans.
How's it going?
We love your work on Totally Awesome Hulk.
Thank you.
For years, all the way back from your college days in the 90s, up to date, and absolutely love your dinosaur work and your women work. And it seems like you put out a few books now.
Yeah.
Are you going to continue to put out like art books and stuff like that? Or? Okay.
No, actually, I will.
Absolutely.
I have several already planned down the road.
Can I ask you a question? Who do you enjoy drawing the most, like, through the years? Like, if you had to pick, like, maybe a number one character.
Probably the jungle queen type character.
Yeah, like Shanna.
Yeah, Cableman.
Yeah, it seems like you really have the anatomy of animals and dinosaurs really down.
Yeah.
Even. All right. Well, I'm an artist myself. I always find like the collarbone and pelvic work like really kind of hard to get in there. But
Maybe once you know your anatomy, you can kind of like move the figure around with ease. So, keep working at it.
yeah, very interesting. Being an artist myself, would you recommend like an anatomy class or maybe like going to that level?
Yes and no. I mean, the way I learned how to draw was I copied How to Draw the Marvel Way by John Buscema.
I actually have the book.
That book. So I used to copy it religiously, and then I used to.
The circles and circles and circles.
Well, not even that. It's just how drawing by John Buscema in general. And,
For sure.
A lot of the classic illustrators I used to just copy it, and then once you copy enough of it, it kind of you start maintaining that how the muscle and the body kind of is laid out and works and all that.
If you could, if you had the pleasure of working with like one of your Marvel greats, like who would you pick to work with, or any comic book greats?
I mean, like living or dead?
Living or dead?
I would have loved to work with Al Williams.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's one of my heroes.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you for your time once again. I don't want to take any more of your time up. I hope you have a great convention. And again, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much, Mr. Cho. Yeah.
Thank you. See you later.
So a big thank you again to Mr. Frank Cho. He was just a really stand-up guy. So look for his future work. By all means, we're major fans, and he was cool enough to say what's up to all his fans. So please reciprocate. Check out his Twitter and look out for his future work and stuff. So our stuff will be posted hopefully on his Twitter and Facebook as well, because he was looking forward to that. And that's
awesome.
about it for Mr. Frank Cho.
If you don't know his art, you're in for a treat when you look that man up.
Frank Cho's the man. All right, so does anybody else have anything on Artist Alley, or did you get any, you got some prints you were talking about?
Dropped like $150.
It's one of the most dangerous areas for spending money.
I have a problem. And unfortunately, the voice in my head that says, "Do you really need that? Do you really need that?"
Well, it's
was
saying yes.
muted. Yeah, no, I don't need it. Oh, I don't. No, I don't. I want it. I want it
That's
bad.
a want.
Yeah.
I want it bad enough to say, you know what? No, I'm just not going to listen to you. You're going to go away
Last
now.
year, I spent easily $150 on prints. This year, I told myself, I'm like, I haven't even framed those prints or put them up yet. So, like, you know, I was just like, I'm going to dial it back on the arts a little bit this year and go for more comic books and comic book related stuff. And that's what I did.
See, where he was able
85
to
on prints.
where he was able to use his willpower and say, I'm not going to do that. My Green Lantern ring turned into an Orange Lantern ring. And I'm like, I want all the things.
I just
awesome.
fueled my rage and pushed through it. That's the new hat I got.
Nice. Very nice.
Rage. All right, sweet. So cosplay. No, I was only there Friday. I got to see a few cosplay things. Some of them were downright embarrassing. Well, at least I was embarrassed for some of these people. Some of them were absolutely incredible. I saw a Sweet Vega. I don't know if you guys saw him.
I got pictures of him.
Dude, he was.
And you'll throw that one up. I got a nice picture of him.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw an awesome Dr. Doom. He was just like, had the full regalia and everything.
What about Apocalypse and his Horsemen?
No, I didn't
There was
see
Apocalypse
them.
and Horseman?
It was on Friday. We had Apocalypse. There was Magneto from the new Apocalypse, or So I think he's War in that one. Then you had Archangel, like X-Force Archangel, so Death. Then we had Gambit as Death. Yes, Gambit was Death. It was, but the cosplay was great. And then they had Polaris, who was Pestilence at one time. So you had all like the four of the Horsemen, and then Apocalypse, and he was just.
That's awesome.
That is sweet. Did you get a pic of that?
I mean, you know, if you had the balls to like go head to toe and cosplay, like, props to you, man. Like I was walking around with James for a little bit, and I kind of pointed out this dude that was like my size, and he was dressed in like a Spider-Man unitard, and I was like,
Wow.
that's the reason why I don't cosplay right there. And he's just like, yeah, I hear you. You're more like Spider-Ham, you know. and it, you know, it's funny,
Yeah.
but like, dude, like. That's gotta take some balls to do that.
You
man.
even though you see some that are better than others, you gotta respect everyone who puts on the uniform.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, it's just kind of like fighting. Everyone who steps in the cage, you gotta give them respect. Everyone who steps on that show floor with a crowd of people watching you in any kind of costume, you deserve
You gotta
respect.
figure like how big is that dude as a fan?
Yeah.
That's a
How
good
big
point,
of a
yeah.
fan is that dude?
Yeah.
So big
If
of a
he's
fan that he
coming out the
doesn't
door.
care at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people do it like a little cooler. Like I saw this like overweight woman as Princess Leia, but she was dressed up also as like Miss Piggy.
Oh, I know that
Like,
cosplayer.
yeah.
That
So, like,
cosplayer is Sweet for a Sweet cosplay on Facebook.
Oh, right on.
Very
Nice
cool.
name drop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
dude,
like,
dropping.
some people that do the amalgam thing,
Yeah.
you know, and use their body for it.
Yeah.
Like those are a little like more creative. You know what I mean? And I love the touch of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's pretty sweet.
yeah.
So I hear you did a few cosplay interviews like Danny did with his.
Yeah, the
Art
first
Alley.
one I got to do was my first interview ever. I got to interview one of my favorite cosplayers, Jedi Amanda, who is cosplaying as Mary Poppins. Yeah, she did an amazing Ahsoka from Star Wars the day before. I got a picture with her then as well. She was really great to give me time for an interview. It was just a quick, short one, but here it goes.
Kevin here, Heroes Edge Podcast. Here's one of my favorite cosplayers, Jedi Amanda. What is one of your favorite things about Chicago Comic Con?
I just like the convention because it's super organized, it's very well laid out, and everybody here is really nice.
Oh, that's good to hear. Can you tell everyone where you're coming from?
I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, so about 5 hours south.
It's very nice of you to come up. What would you tell anyone who's wanting to get into cosplay that's really wanting to...
Go to a convention first, not in costume, to see what it's all about, and then dive head first.
Very cool. Thank you so much for your
No
time.
problem.
I hope you have a fun weekend.
I will.
And that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's great advice that she gave. If you're going to go and cosplay at all, you should go to a con out of costume.
Yeah.
See what it's all about before you put yourself out there like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, that was my first time, and I
Could you
saw Sweet
imagine
Magneto.
just going head first in a costume?
No, I would,
No.
I would be. I
No.
would be one of those guys looking around like, do I look as cool as these guys? I mean, did I do it right? You know, you kind of check yourself in the mirror, but
I
you know,
would
there's-
think that like by the number of times you got asked to stop to take a picture, you
Dude.
could tell like
Yeah.
how good of a costume you did.
That's a good point because that Vega. All right, so there was probably a strip, you know, between there's the long columns, right, and then at the grid corners, you know, you got like a little block.
yeah.
I saw him turn one block. All right, take like 5 different poses and pictures with who's the little blue dress?
Chun-Li.
Chun-Li, thank you.
Nice.
Oh no,
With
it was
her-
Sakura.
Oh, it was Sakura?
Was it Sakura?
yeah.
But with her, like 5 times in this little small section, and I'm like, that is such a sweet Vega, and he had a different pose every time.
There was a lot of Street Fighter characters there. I saw
sure.
one Ken Masters and Chun-Li walking around that I got a picture with. On
Did
like
you
each
see
side.
the
He had the
variant-
flag and the
yeah.
glasses.
Did you see the variant shirtless Ryu from Street Fighter 5?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the beard.
The
Yeah, I
beard.
got a picture of him too. He was awesome. He even had like the dirt at the bottom of the like gi pants and
Yep.
everything, and like
Wow.
pose. So awesome.
I pity these poor women that are actually like have fantastic bodies that are walking through there, like you know, like a Starfire that I saw.
Oh man,
Like I mean, hounded by nerds with cameras, like
There was
or
a
geeks
lot of
with
good
cameras.
Starfires.
Just they're walking 5 feet, 50 pictures.
oh for sure.
Oh, come here! Don't look at this spot. Turn this way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're treating them like they're like professional models.
For
and
sure.
Stuff. Like it's crazy.
And I like there were some of them you could see full butt,
Oh, well, yeah.
you know, full leg, full
Yeah.
butt, and like
What was that? Pantsless Mara Jade?
Yeah, pantsless
No.
Mara, Donald Duck and Mara Jade. Like I was like, Mara Jade has pants. Like she's literally walking around in a G-string with her ass hanging out with just a belt, like over the ass.
Yeah.
You know, I was like in Scotty Young's line. I'm like, what?
It's like every year on Halloween, you'll see like a costume, and then you see the like minus 50% clothes version
Yeah,
of that
right,
costume.
right.
Should we mention the game we were playing? I don't know if you guys were playing it. But a friend of ours.
I
came up
didn't
with a
understand
game.
the whole like
All right.
parameters because I didn't know if you were counting all of them or just like the ones you thought were in that category.
Initially, it was okay.
what kind of game?
We-
is this?
Oh, it's a
it,
game.
it
You'll
was
find
something
out.
we had initially come up with at Ren Fair one year. And so you know when you go to Ren Fair, have you ever been to you've
Yeah,
been to
I
Ren
went
Fair.
there with
Have
you
ever been
last
to Ren
year.
Fair? Okay, when you go to Ren Fair, it's like the Renaissance, right? Medieval, all that kind of stuff, magic and myth. Well, there's always a bunch of stormtroopers there for some reason.
They're always
It's like, look, there's Vader and some stormtroopers. Really?
It's like, why?
Really? Now the Star Trek thing I get because the Star Trek they went to like a medieval planet or a gangster
Marty
planet.
McFly, we saw that one.
Marty
year.
McFly because he's a time traveler.
Yeah.
Kinda stretching it a little
But
It
bit.
they're
is,
time
it
travelers.
is.
Doctor Who, time
I
travelers.
think it's ironic. That's
So
what it
yeah.
is.
So
for
what
sure.
we
Irony.
what we started was like a bit of Ren Fair bingo. Like, oh, do you see stormtroopers? Okay.
Oh,
I'm thinking about
yeah.
this.
All right, I got you.
So what we
This
came
game
up
was like a little bit more like.
No, this was how many slutty Harleys we could find. And when
I
I
saw
mean
10 in a matter of like an hour.
the estimation we had for all 3 days was 36. We reached, at least I reached 37 when I stopped counting. And these are all different.
And
People, yeah.
we weren't talking about Arkham Asylum Harleys
Or like the
Bruce
Bruce
Timm
Timm.
Harleys.
It was the new Harley.
Or like,
It-
That's
yeah.
what I
Like
saw.
bastardized versions.
it
of the
was
original
pretty
car.
much just the Suicide Squad movie Harley.
Yeah.
I saw a
That's-
lot of good Harleys
Yes,
there.
Yeah.
yes. And we're not saying that,
There,
you know.
there was one old school jumpsuit Harley that looked incredible.
Yeah, the Bruce Timm Harley.
With
like,
the-
yeah.
Yeah.
I got
Or
a
like-
picture with a bombshell variant.
Yes,
Harley.
that was a
no
really
way.
good one. She had the
Amazing.
actual like
The gun.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the bomb.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's sweet.
I mean, there was a burlesque Harley
Yeah.
that was really like looked really cool. There were a lot of them that were really cool, but like the one we were just going like, okay, because we were actually going to do like how many Deadpools are going to be here, and surprisingly there weren't that
There weren't many at
Yeah.
all. I saw maybe 3 on Friday.
Last year was twice as
I've
much.
Yeah,
Easy.
last year was a
There
ton.
was a Santa Claus Deadpool.
I saw that one.
which
That was
on Friday.
hilarious.
There
Did you see
was
the Bane Deadpool?
there was Bane Deadpool. There was Red Hood Deadpool.
I didn't see that.
Really?
Yeah. There was a Pyramid Head Deadpool.
Yeah,
That's
saw
sweet.
that.
So it was cool seeing like
Hold
these.
on. Let me clarify. Is this Silent Hill Pyramid
Yes.
Head?
Yeah.
All right, that is amazing. Do you
And,
have the big sword too?
Hip hop
Yes.
variant cover.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I saw the hip hop
He had a
Spider-Man
boombox?
Deadpool.
Yeah.
Did you see both of them?
No, that's
Dude,
awesome.
That was amazing. Like they were doing like these sweet poses, like as like gangsters almost. It was-
That's awesome.
So it was cool. It would be like Deadpool as if he was cosplaying as someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like last year when I went to Wizard World, they had Deadpool basically going as the guy from Jurassic World, like Chris Pratt's character, and he had one of those costumes where it was like the dinosaur, and then his legs
He
were
was,
the
like,
dinosaur.
riding a dinosaur?
Yeah,
That's
No,
awesome.
that kind of stuff I liked.
Yeah.
But yeah, there weren't too many Deadpools this year. Lots of Kylo Rens.
I got to take a
Lots.
picture with Diamond Dog Cosplay, is another Facebook cosplayer I follow who dressed up as Magic. Best Magic
Yeah.
I've seen.
I-
She had
I
the
was
sword.
really
like the-
jealous about that too. Well, damn it! I wanted to see her.
What's the name of that brand of figure that the model was from?
Yeah, she cosplayed basically off of the model of the Artifacts Kotobukiya,
She had the
which are
contacts,
these like
everything.
models that Darren's nicely displaying like a
Super
Vanna White pose.
detailed.
But they're coming out shortly with like a magic and it goes with this collection. So she was cosplaying as that character from that line, and she looked right on par, 100%. Amazing. What's her name again?
Diamond Dog Cosplay.
Cool.
Did you by chance see the Ludo from the Labyrinth?
Yeah, that was actually one of the cosplay championship contestants.
There was a lot of, I mean, with David Bowie's unfortunate passing, there were a lot of Goblin Kings. In fact, a few of them had the actual like spheres, and they were
Really?
doing a pretty good
Yeah.
job like spinning
There
them
was
around.
a female one that was just walking around with it in her bust.
That's awesome. In her bust.
Yeah.
The creativity of some of them. I saw one who, for everyone who's seen The Force Awakens, the infamous stormtrooper with the spinning thing,
Yep.
he had a sign and he was dressed like Jesus and it said, "Died for your spins."
Did you actually see? Speaking of interest, did you see the Deadpool walking around with the sign that said "Missing Cable"?
No.
And it had like a
No
little
way.
picture of like an infant Cable with like the glowing
One
eye.
that I actually got a selfie with, and I'll give Andy a picture of me with the Gamorrean selfie. We look oddly alike. Anyway, he had a sign that said like "Eat more chicken."
Yep.
That's sweet.
How about the Porkins? The
Yep.
guy who had like a ship around him and a license plate said Porkins.
Did you see Old Man Han from Force Awakens with the saber through him?
I saw our friend's picture of that.
Yep.
Oh, really? That's cool. So really, a lot of creative cosplay.
There was a guy,
see
the guy that went as the ATST.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He was like, it was the cardboard, like a cardboard box, like the ATST, and had the guns, and then his legs were like, like the chicken walker,
Yeah,
like going
That's
around.
awesome.
That's sweet.
There
One
was
of-
we saw on was it on Sunday the guy that basically like he built a speeder, like a speeder bike,
Ah, yeah.
and then his head was an Ewok, and the Ewok was like
and
hanging
his
out.
body was like,
And he was
flying
just walking
behind him.
around.
That's amazing. Did you see the one guy who was the dwarf in the barrel
Yes.
from The Hobbit?
Yeah.
That was on point,
Oh,
man. That
the
was
one
sweet.
I have to bring up. We actually saw this one Thursday night. RoboCop.
Yeah, holy
Ugh.
shit.
That
a
was
good
dead
RoboCop?
on. It was dead on.
Yeah,
Dead on. Even the gun.
yeah. I got a picture of him.
It was
too.
amazing.
Man, some of these cosplayers, it looks like they just walked out of the medium you're in. And why me and like Darren and Danny make the joke, C2E2 feels like a pocket dimension or a multiverse world that only opens up for 3 days and it's once a year.
I mean, like I was walking to the floor, and all of a sudden I hear the motion sensor from Aliens. And there was
No way.
And I want to say it was actually the guy in the RoboCop cosplay, because he had also brought a Space Marines cosplay from what he said. But I hear that, and he's got like the gyro.
Oh
mount
yeah,
and
I
everything.
met
It was
that guy
ridiculous.
right away when me and James first got there. I was outside having a smoke, and that guy, we talked to him. He's from Kentucky, and he built all of that. It's like so
And
impressive.
we got to bring up the Wheeljack from the cosplay contest.
Oh
Well, yeah,
my
we're actually
God.
gonna talk about that
Yeah.
because we were me and Cameron were lucky enough to get in line. I mean, damn near the last ones in line.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, we are not gonna make this show. There's no way.
We weren't gonna go originally, but everyone else wanted to, and we were like, "Well, what else are we gonna do? You know, let's just go check it out."
It was like 7:00 at night, and the convention had just ended, and a bunch of people were like, "Let's go to the Champions of Cosplay show." So I talked Cameron into it, but we were like the last ones in line, and we were standing there, and we were like, "Man, we're not gonna make this show." And we talked to like
someone that worked there.
Yes, someone that worked at the
Anonymous.
the C2E2 Reed Pop, like as security. And we're like, do you think we're going to get in? And they're like, the place is pretty full. I don't see that happening. And Cameron was like...
I was just like, oh, man, well, you know, I think we're going to have to go then because we're not just going to sit in
Sit here
line.
and
Because
waste
they
our
were
time in line.
they were letting people view it in another room. But, I mean, it's the whole live experience of it. And we'll just call them Mr. $5 a piece for 7th row.
Are you kidding me?
For 7th row.
He's like, we get you in if you got 5 on it. And we're like, oh, hell yeah. You know?
Yeah.
You drop $5 each.
To a free cosplay show. It was
Yeah,
packed when we got
really
in there.
got like
Yeah.
7th row center, and we were able to see the whole convention.
Yeah,
like,
it was
up front.
hosted by like the costume designer of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the costume designer who does Jessica Jones and Daredevil, Yaya Han, who's hugely famous for her cosplays. And there were some amazing cosplays we saw there.
Yeah, they were cosplaying from Austria, from Germany. They had won their cosplays over
In their
in their
country.
countries, and Reed Pop had flown them all the way to Chicago.
Yeah,
so
international
they can do
champions.
an international cosplay contest at C2E2 Chicago.
Wow.
And the way they did it was they organized it so they had all these different categories. Like you had comics, anime, video games, movie characters. They took all of them, they gave them first or third places, and then they took all the first places, and then they narrowed it down to one person for like Chicago's champion. And it was a Warcraft orc. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And then after that, they took all the first places from those other countries, and they all stood in a line and then voted the best cosplay.
Which we actually have the video that we can show you right now with Danny's extreme close-up reaction afterwards.
If you could see it, it was like pretty dark at the end there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we took the video as best as we could with like our camera phones.
Yeah.
Obviously, we couldn't sneak like major video equipment inside the room or anything, so we did the best we could. So hopefully you enjoy this.
Was it tough? Is this a tough one right here, judges?
It was unbelievable. It was so tough. Such talent, such attention to detail. Every one of you guys is a winner. Yeah. Every single one of you. So congratulations to all of you. Beautiful job. All right. Everybody, give me a round of applause. Number 3. Warcraft Orc.
I just wanted to say that what I really loved about this costume was the integration and the movie business called breakdown, and so it was that last bit of attention to detail. So the paint was built up very nicely. It was really, really layered. And then the integration between the parts felt like a really nice flow, and so it just really stood out for me.
Okay, guys. Number 2. Wheeljack. It was based on something you loved on your car, and we loved that. So that's costume design. Congratulations.
All of these special effects. And I can't believe he brought it all the way from Austria. Like, how? All right. And this is such a hard decision, and we really had to consider all of the different skills that went into these costumes, and sometimes it's incredibly difficult to determine what kind of effort was put into the costume and how can you compare two very different costumes to each other. But we deliberated. We had a knockout, drag-out fight in the back.
We did.
Daredevil style. And we believe that we have chosen the crown champion of cosplay for 2016. And our first place winner is Julieta Necromancer.
All right, and that was a little clip from the actual championship cosplay event at C2E2.
It was really worth the $5.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So I saw the Hulkbuster in that video, right?
Oh man,
Tell me about it. I mean, that looked amazing.
Dude, they had to get help getting it on the stage,
Yeah.
and he had to go on sideways.
And I saw him on the floor on Saturday, like during the day, and he was posed with like the rest of the Avengers doing like a Civil War pose. Like they had a Wasp, they had an Ant-Man, Cap, Bucky, all of them. And yeah, that thing was, I thought it was just like a prop at first. I'm like, oh, someone just made that. And then it starts moving around. I was like, that's crazy.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I mean, if you go on the C2E2 website, it has a little video right now of like Hulkbuster or Iron Man armor versus Wheeljack, which came in second place for the cosplay contest.
Yeah.
And it shows them like kind of tussling and fighting. And the mobility of these giant cosplays like are insanity. I can't believe they move so well.
Yeah, Wheeljack couldn't get up on stage, but me and Danny, they were showing this video of, you know, this person's from here and he brought this and blah, blah, blah. And while they're showing his video, I'm like, Danny, that's the thing that they're talking about over there. And we were just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Wheeljack had steam coming out of him.
A little
he had
like
fire.
flame thing. Yeah, dude.
He had sound. And like he could actually fire little fireworks.
Yeah.
Like, and he was just awesome. He came all the way from Austria, and I guess he put that thing in a giant like 6 foot, like 8 box and like shipped it.
Yeah.
How? That's incredible.
And what's crazy too is this announcer who was, you know, telling you when these people come out, they did this and blah 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 blah, all the details. They put hundreds to thousands of hours of work into these. They make them themselves. They use special material, wait till it dries, paint it, measure the proportions. So it's just impressive.
Announcers were even saying like, you know, it's one thing for like a whole movie studio to have a team that does this stuff. These are one person that works on these things.
That just heart and soul.
It blows us away, man.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and they said even the judges, you know, who, like I said, you got people who work on major shows. They're saying like, yeah, this could just walk onto a set and it would be perfect. And that's the thing about the whole cosplay atmosphere of C2E2 is you're walking around seeing these things that we see in comics and TV shows and, you know, movies, and it's just like it's right in front of you. And if the person is dead on, it's the closest thing you're gonna ever get to actually seeing this person.
And they're always so happy to take pictures with you, and like
especially
pose.
when you call them by their name, you know, like, hey, Mystique, or so, you know, can I get a picture? Hey, Tyler Durden.
Yeah. Totally.
That's sweet. So when you saw that Hulkbuster, was he walking in the actual aisles?
They were actually up front. Like when you come into the McHenry place and then you're heading up towards C2E2, they're right in front by the fountains.
All right. I was gonna say that. I think that would be hard for him to walk through. And
Yeah,
you know.
they were all in like wide spaced open areas of the show.
Actually,
They had plenty of room to move around and stuff.
I wish I would have been able to see that.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, because I got a picture with Tony Stark.
Cool.
it was
Very cool.
awesome.
Like the real Tony Stark.
Almost.
Yeah.
Actually, you got a picture with Iron Man, Tony Stark's bodyguard. That's not Tony Stark. That's Iron Man. Tony Stark's bodyguard.
It depends.
Tony Stark's bodyguard.
It really depends because
as we learned in the third movie, he is Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
the
first
first
movie.
movie said that. I was going off the comics. Jeez.
I know.
Everything's
We're doing
MCU.
that, then they got to step it up because he has nanotechnology now.
Yeah. No, he's got crazy technology now. Can't stop.
But we actually we ran into a top contestant from the cosplay event.
She was third place in overall comic book characters for her Thor costume, and we were lucky enough to get her some of her time for an interview. Check this out. This is from Pepper Monster.
Hey guys, Cameron Kivett here with Heroes Edge Podcast. I'm here with our third place cosplay runner-up, Thor.
Thor, also known as Sarah or Pepper Monster. Hi guys.
Sarah, where are you coming from?
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, wow. Having a good time this weekend in Chicago?
Oh yeah, I love Chicago.
That's awesome. So you were just telling us a little bit about you've seen some of these people around before?
Oh yeah, this is a Reed Pop convention, and so you see the same people kind of hit the same circuit. So some of the same people from last year, some of the people from New York City. It, you see some familiar faces, but there's always new people as well.
That's very cool. Would you like to tell the fans about what it takes to make a great costume like this?
Time, space, money, dedication.
If you are wearing a Reed Pop staff shirt, please help us clear the room. Thank you.
Tears. It really mostly takes passion. Like anyone can Google something, figure out how to do something, get a little money together and do it. It's you do learn some skills and you get better at what you do, but pretty much anyone can do it with enough Googling.
All right. Once again, please clear the room. Will Jack will be the bad guy. No more pictures of Will Jack unless he goes out of the room.
Yes.
Everyone follow us.
Thank you.
I'm Pepper Monster. It's one word. It's on all social media.
All right, great. Twitter, everything?
Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook. That's me, Pepper Monster.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
So how was that being interviewed by or interviewing the Pepper Monster?
It was pretty great. She was a really good sport. You can follow her and everyone else we mentioned on their social media handles, and it was awesome except for that damn announcer.
Yeah,
who
that
just
announcer.
kept trying to get everyone out.
We were trying to do the little filming without that interruption, and we just couldn't get away with it. So.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys are gonna keep talking, you gotta move along.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But,
Other than that, she was
Pepper
great.
Monster was awesome. She was out of Buffalo, New York, so she came all the way to New York, and she didn't win first place. So it looks like she paid with her own money to come and
It's dedication, man.
Throw the dice down on the stage.
Those cosplayers, they're dedicated.
It's a lifestyle for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to some cosplayers that they actually take on the role.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them will actually be like, I am this person. I'm gonna dress up as them.
Well,
they're
if you ever
performers for sure.
If you ever do it, man, you get in the mindset. Like I've cosplayed once, it was Court of Owls, but it's just weird. You're walking around the way people are looking at you. You've cosplayed before too. It's a different feel. You're gonna get stopped for pictures a lot, and you just can't help but feel like the character because that's what people are looking at you like.
For sure.
In that light,
Well,
it's awesome.
I saw a Gwen Stacy that looked really good there too.
Really?
But it's awesome.
Was she hot?
Was her back broken?
I don't know how.
She just come from falling off a
Was she
building.
like Nightfall Batman?
Oh no! Wait, her neck got broken, right?
Yeah, she snapped her neck from falling off a building. Was her dad dead? Jeez.
I didn't get in a depth conversation with her, but I'm sure she is. I mean,
How deep does this cosplay go?
she was in a neck brace.
Good Lord.
You see stuff like that sometimes. Like I saw a picture someone took where it was a Batman and someone dressed up like Thomas and Martha Wayne and laid in front of him, and he's like,
No,
oh.
yeah.
Oh.
Anytime they would see a Batman, they would run over and lay on the ground in front of him. Dead parents.
Like put rose petals down and like lay a gun there and just like have a spotlight guy.
Yeah, that's vicious.
Good lord.
Like I kept seeing one Joker guy who just every time he would get asked to be in a different picture with someone, he had like a microphone with him and he would just start saying random Joker things. It was kind of creepy.
There was a guy that was going around interviewing nothing but hot women dressed as the Joker with a microphone.
That was
and it
probably
was
that
a
guy.
bad makeup job and he just looked like an old creep. I don't know who this dude was, but like, yeah, I was like, oh, moving on then.
I thought it was funny.
You're going to run into that. Obviously, you can't get away from, not everyone's going to be cool like, everywhere. So.
Yeah.
But
So, what are the closing thoughts you guys got on the con itself? I got a
Awesome
good one.
experience.
I got a good one. I want to shout out to actually Valiant. As a retailer, they totally just hooked me up with all these because they want me to read them. Now, I'm probably only going to get to half of them, but
Excuse me.
And you always complain that I'm stinky.
Hey, man, mine's not every week. I will gladly admit to mine, and they will never be silent. So.
I complain that you were stinky because I sit next to you when you let him fly, and then you're like, "Oh, sorry, that was me because I didn't hear it."
Like Darren would prefer like Terrigen mists.
No, don't want the
Even though it would
Mpox.
kill him.
I'm a
don't die from my
goddamn
butt. All right.
human being.
Anyway, so yeah, big shout out to Valiant for hooking me up. They're actually doing a lot of stuff with the con. They had a booth set up. They're launching 4001 AD by Jeff Lemire, which I think is going to be incredible. But who knows? We'll see to believe it. But other than that, I mean, I was pretty excited with the con. That was a fun time.
Yeah, it's awesome to be around like-minded people who are just happy as you are to be there.
Yeah, everybody is cool there though.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I couldn't see enough, do enough. I mean, dude, like I feel like I lost 15 pounds. I was walking like 5 miles a day.
You look
Forgetting
good,
to
man.
eat.
Yeah, awesome.
I see it's just exiting your butt as well.
Right. Any less like amount of weight is good for me, including air. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I was sore as hell today. You know, like, and I even after it was all done, like I was sitting there on the train, like on the way back, and just like thinking about everything, and I was like, oh man, I should have did that. Oh man, I should have did that. So there's just like never seems to be enough time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's how I felt. I mean, I had to come back here, to the store, and I'm like, I don't want to leave yet. I mean, there's a lot of things that I still want to see or do, and I'm like, but I really have to go.
That's why we go for the whole weekend. We can't seem to
3.5 days of bliss.
But I would suggest if someone's going for their first time to just do one day.
Yeah, just do
that
one
was
day,
my
check it
first time when we went in 2013.
Yeah.
This was my fourth year, third year hoteling and doing all 3 days. But the first day, you just got to see what it's all about.
Learn how to budget.
And walk around, because when you don't walk the right way, you want to start. Oh my God! It's suplexing people.
Oh, also, if you're an adult fan, I would suggest Fridays. If you're just a mass fan and like not really, and you only float it a little bit, Saturday's fine. And if you're a person with kids, family-friendly kid day is Sunday.
Also, all the good deals are on Sunday generally too, because vendors usually just want to. The less stuff they got to pack up, the better.
Yeah,
so
for
they are
sure.
usually willing to make a good deal.
It's a risk though, because if they still have what you really needed, so you gotta get the essentials.
That's why
first.
some of us go crazy on Friday.
Yeah. I think I spent almost my whole budget on Friday.
Oh, I brought like 500. I was like, oh, here's an easy 200 just for you. There you go.
Well, they were totally worth it. These things are freaking awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You need a Black Bolt one now. Oh, they don't
do.
make it.
Well, I was hoping to
They
get.
they have a bust.
Yeah, you can have a
Bus?
bus.
Who cares about bus? I mean, look at this.
You got
This
a
is
lot to
cool.
own up to if you're gonna go to like compare yourself to Darren. If you see his house, it's like a goddamn museum.
Oh, I'm not trying to compare. I'm not a statue collector.
There's a reason I don't have children and or a wife.
because those rooms take up statues.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's like, this would be our room. No, this is a room for my lanterns.
Hey man, your money's well spent.
But see, I should get a giant one, so we can have Black Bolt just right here.
The Black Bolt can. How about you just get the little hero clip like you had
can't.
last time?
No,
and just keep that there.
He's not that small.
Yeah, but see,
his bark is very loud though.
Yeah, but these are mutants.
They kind of act like they're married. A little bit.
I have no comment.
I get that.
I think it's
Sure
just
with this
because
guess?
like
Anyway.
Black Bolt and Cyclops' outfits look a lot similar. Just
The
kinda,
new one, yeah, that one and Black Bolt's outfit look quite a
It's
bit.
just missing the fork, the tuning fork on his forehead.
You gotta watch out for that thing.
But I mean, Cyclops is cooler because it's multi-layered, and Black Bolt's just like, hey, my suit's black, and I have those wings that Spider-Man left back in the '60s on the side of his.
Oh man,
sorry.
It's laying out.
See, the X-Men have a guy with a sonic scream. It's called Banshee.
Yeah.
But, so we'll just.
Yeah, but who can? I firmly believe that Black Bolt could take.
Isn't Banshee dead?
No.
Back.
He came back.
Oh yeah, they all do, right?
Just like every other mutant. That
Piccolo statue, that is the shit.
Yeah.
Big Dragon Ball fan. I saw that and couldn't pass it up. So
I
got a
none
great
of
deal
this
on
at
it
con.
on Sunday.
This is all me.
Bringing on phonies. We got all these at con.
I did get all these at con.
I got these.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of them.
Well, that's fine. I am mutant and proud.
How much did I spend on it? Anyway, all right. So as you noticed, we did skip up on geek culture in the beginning of the episode because this episode is fully on geek culture. It's C2E2. It's not about specific things at all, except C2E2. So now geek culture. So we all know that Batman Superman releases what?
Yeah, on Thursday night, Friday.
Well, I mean, they say midnight release, but it's really not a
Like
midnight
7
release.
o'clock.
What do they call it now? 8 early release?
No.
Yeah, they have it as early as 7 p.m.
That's crazy. Why don't they just say the release is on Thursday?
Because then they would have a midnight release on Wednesday.
Well, yeah, but then it's going to turn to an early release
It's
on Wednesday.
always
so
the
it's
day
just-
before.
It's like a vicious
technically
landslide.
speaking,
So when does it release?
it's coming out this
Yeah.
week. That's what you need to know.
The American premiere, I believe, was yesterday. Yesterday, the day before. I know they had like the big premiere.
Did we see any releases from it? Like people saying
I've read reviews and I've heard that they were positive. They were not spoiler reviews. I avoided those, but they've all been surprisingly positive.
Yeah, well, I expected it to be good.
Well, I mean, we couldn't really avoid, too much with the movie because there's a lot of previews for that movie that have been out so far. There's a good 15 minutes if you stack it all together.
Yep.
Which there is
But-
supercuts too.
Yes.
That are
there's
neat.
some major supercuts. So, but from what I hear, there's still more story and more stuff to be viewed in the movie.
For sure.
There's extended footage that once they release it on Blu-ray and DVD, that it's going to actually be rated R. And I read more into that because people think oh, well, don't try and just make it R because Deadpool came out. And Zack Snyder addressed that. He's like, we didn't do that. We already had our cut made, and we've been sending it in and shaving it down based on the rating system.
Yeah.
It's before and during Deadpool. The thing of it is it's just violence. There's no extra swearing. There's no killing. It's just some of the moves are so brutal. They made them get an R rating.
Yeah, and
it's not a big deal.
And Zack Snyder's addressed this before. This version of his Superman and this DC universe, it's serious. It's very serious and very dark. And there's not a lot of where in Marvel you have those little jokes now and then, and
got
they're
Iron
sitting
Man.
around the table and they're all having fun. There's not a lot of that in this Zack Snyder Elseworld version of DC.
There's no
the
Iron
DC
Man being
universe.
like, hey, Point Break, hey, Reindeer Games, hey,
Exactly,
Underoos.
And I actually just read an article today viewing, or saying why Zack Snyder didn't use CW's Flash in, his movie. And he basically said, look, this movie has a certain tone to it. It's darker. It's serious. And we don't think that Flash would mesh up with our tone and, Elseworlds DC universe that I'm making. And to a point, I kind of agree with that. And then to a lesser point, I don't, because I think that Flash could have meshed really well And Flash is one of those characters that I don't really think should be dark.
Not only that, but he has been through some rough shit on that show, dude. Barry's been there time and time again on that show. And what are they going to do? They're going to have this new Flash come in, being played by Ezra Miller, which I think he's an alright, he's a good actor. I don't know how he's going to do as the Flash, but what are we going to just see this guy and be like, oh, he's had it rough because he tells us he's had it rough? No, we've watched Barry had it rough.
Right.
There's a history there, and I'm personally holding out for something I saw into online that may be really looking into it, but as we talked about before in The Flash, they're going into multiverse theory. He's crossing over into Supergirl. There might be somewhere down the road just how Marvel's setting up Infinity Gauntlet, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and trim it down. We might get, Arrow.
You never
Stephen
know.
Amell,
That's a
and the Flash
possibility
come
with
in.
all these DC shows like running on CW, and then the different kinds of movies. That Crisis of the Infinite Earths always could be a possibility, especially since Flash can travel through multiverses. So that's a good point.
It's ideal. It's best case scenario, really. But
for me, I'm more on the cusp. I think from everything I've heard. I mean, we saw the first trailer, which didn't really show too much. Then we had the second trailer, and all of a sudden, we have Doomsday now. And then there's Wonder Woman, which I think is awesome.
Yes.
I really do like Wonder Woman. I was really kind of, when I heard who they cast, it's kind of like, eh. But seeing her in action, it looks pretty
Gail
cool.
Gadot looks amazing.
But then I'm like, we have Doomsday now? Where'd that come from? Okay, they have to fight something. Oh, hey, there's Lex Luthor. Wow, he's kind of peppy. And with hair, which I get. He's probably going to lose it, whatever.
And then get dark. I could see him switching gears after that.
But that's one thing
that's
that
prior to him getting evil.
And it's one thing that for me, with like when Man of Steel came out, for me it was too dark. Superman is supposed to be the Boy Scout. He is supposed to be the one that has had adversity, but he's risen against it, and he sees the good in everything. And we all know that, especially that I don't like how his dad dies. That was probably my biggest qualm about the movie. Where he's like, I'm going to die by a tornado. Don't come
Yeah,
save
it
me.
was like a self-sacrifice almost for no reason.
I mean,
but it all depends on how much he felt that the need to like make that point across for his son to go to that extra level, So,
but
Didn't
I mean,
he actually die of a heart attack though,
and
which
for
is
me,
something
and that's
he couldn't prevent.
Exactly. And that's the power of it, where you have tornado. Don't come save
but
me.
it was in the comics. It was the cause of his own son dying in Funeral for a Friend that like pushed the edge of him having a heart attack there.
It was a few things depending on which timeline you go with.
Yeah.
But really, in the original, if you watch the original Christopher Reeves Superman, it was the heart attack.
Oh yeah, okay.
And that's what I'm.
I was
with.
leaning toward more to the comic.
Well, like I said, it depends on the universe. But I mean, I'm hoping that this movie won't be too much. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, there's that split-second scene where there's a desert scene and there's a bunch of winged demons going around. Those are parademons. And so that means that the big surprise is probably going to be Doomsday, like the big reveal in Marvel. And it's the one thing that, for me, the DC movies...
Darkseid.
Darkseid. It's the one thing that the DC movies seem to be forgetting that the Marvel movies seem to do so well with, is that they stick with the source material. They stick with the basis of the character. I really think, I was really like, oh God, Ben Affleck as Batman, what are you doing? But seeing more of him, I'm really liking it. If you do that...
I love the suit.
I think he did a fine job.
His acting work in it, like just from the simple little trailers that I've seen, he looks dedicated to the role.
Do the look. Someone online did a comparison of the faces between the animated series and then Ben Affleck, and it's actually pretty close. And for me, that's my Batman, Kevin Conroy Batman.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
See, for me, it's more like, okay, I see Ben Affleck. I'm like, I don't want to think about it too much until I actually see it.
Yeah.
Because those trailers, cool. They're showing cool parts. They're showing great things, but until I actually see him really do the role, I'm not going to be.
Like I said, I'm staying on the
yet.
role. I mean, when you start hearing Aquaman's going to be in it, really? Why?
It's because it's called the Dawn of Justice.
I get that.
And
but
Aquaman's the one that formed the Justice League.
It's not Batman's movie. It's a sequel of Superman's, and it's Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
I was just going to mention that. They're also leading up to Justice League, which is why they're bringing all these Justice League, casts into it for this one, because they're going to lead up to that next year.
I hope they're not doing too much. That's my worry.
I think this is the beginning of all of that verse.
Because if you look at how Marvel did it, they're like, okay, we had Iron Man, and Iron Man was such a great movie, and then we're like, oh, we hear there's something at the end of the movie, And then you wait, and then Nick Fury shows up, and it's Sam Jackson. And we're all
Right,
like,
it was all
"Whoa!"
a big continuation.
And then it's like
until it led up to-
Avengers Initiative, and then pretty much everyone lost their shit. I mean, I know I did.
Oh, Yeah. for sure.
And you know, I mean, I think I was screaming for at least 5 minutes in the theater.
Wait, what's
yeah, and I was hoping that DC. It seems like DC's trying to catch up with Marvel. They're like, God, Green Lantern really sucked. We need to like step this up. And well, the
Throw
Nolan
that out.
Batverse, the Nolan Batverse, well, it happened, but it didn't happen. So we got to do this new thing. And it's like,
at the end of the day, it's ultimately about like the writing, and if they could pull it off, not so much how many people are on screen.
Yeah.
Because as we can see with Civil War coming out, that doesn't matter. As long as you have an awesome like writer, you can make that movie
writer
work.
and director.
Yeah, you can make that work.
And that's why I think they're on the right pace with, because for, like you said, the Green Lantern movies, or the Green Lantern movie, it sucked. And then you had Batman Saga with Christian Bale, which was great, but, you know, they weren't ever going to cross those over. Now it seems like they're going, okay, Superman happened, we're going to go from there. Now we're doing this, we're doing Suicide Squad. This is all in the same world, and we're going forward from here.
Yeah.
And if they manage to pull this off, and they just crush it with their movie universe, look at what they've done with their animated movies already. Like,
sure.
Marvel can't touch their animated series or movies. Like,
And
with
Snyder
anything.
is definitely going a different way with this, and in an Elseworlds fashion, where it's like, it's kind of like Dark Knight. It is gonna be darker. It's gonna be grittier. So, you know, if you're not on board with that style, then you're probably not gonna like it. But he wants to make this not only for Superman and Batman fans, but he wants to make it for, you know, the comic fans and adults to kind of grab onto. Because let's face it, comics aren't so much for kids anymore.
No, not even close.
You know what I mean?
I mean, on the retailer perspective, I mean, I sell mostly between the ages of 20 to 65. That seems to be the target demographic.
They're not priced for kids either. Some of these cool books. Oh, look at that Spider-Man cover, Mommy, I want it. Yeah, that's $120, son.
Right. Well, yeah,
You know,
but that's
shit, son. You're out of luck,
But I mean,
son.
but at
Time
a
to
price
pick a
point-
cheaper hobby, son.
Yeah, well, at a price point of $3.99 a book.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know,
And DC, to their credit, as I love DC, a lot of their books still,
$2.99?
yeah, $2.99.
But I'm on Darren's side. With
the table, or
back
the
in the
hard-
day, I mean, you're paying 15, 25, 35, and then it kept moving up. But as a kid, I know there was inflation, there's all that crap, and I'm not going to do the math. But I'm sure it was a lot less than $3.99 back then.
Yeah.
To what it is.
Shit, Marvel number
now.
1 books are what, $5?
Yeah, they're doing
Fan
it 5
books,
When I
bucks,
$5.
first
sometimes
started
$7
collecting comics, they were
You know?
75 cents.
Yep.
Yeah. So you think about that. Whereas back in the day, getting a child a comic wasn't a big deal. Now, do you want to drop $5, $4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In good cases, $3.
And the unfortunate part is that now that the cinematic universes have taken such an explosion of popularity, the companies that own them are like, well, we're going to go more for them, and then we're going to take the comics where you have old fans like us who've been in this for quite some time, and then we're just going to change things now. I mean, geez, Star-Lord went through how many interpretations, and then Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and they're like, nope, this is Star-Lord now.
Yep.
Let's forget everything else.
Yep.
Speaking
know?
of Guardians and movies, I still think it would be really cool if John C. Reilly ends up being Nova, because he's the only one they really gave some camera time to, and as people know, the Nova whole planet just gets destroyed and there's one guy left, and he is the helmet that has all of his.
We shall
That would
see.
be cool.
I like John C. Reilly. I think Nova is supposed to be represented by like a younger dude, though.
Yeah.
You know, like a guy in his 20s or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So, and plus, he was an officer with a family. To see that guy's family die, you know, like that would suck.
That would probably make him get more serious.
Oh,
I mean, if
yeah.
you're gonna bring in a Nova, I mean, not going off too much off subject.
Yeah, I was gonna say
but,
we're going-
like, you know, it's either gonna be Richard Rider, or it's probably most likely gonna be the new guy, whoever the hell he is, because I don't read Nova. But it's probably gonna be the new guy.
Yeah, for sure. But actually, I've had requests for those of you watching that made this request. It's a great idea. Is talk about what comics were like back then. You know, so
Well,
what
back
they're
in my
like,
day,
right?
I mean, are you referring to like Silver Age?
Yeah,
or
you know,
even old
s-
modern age.
Silver going in
It's
old. Yeah, I was just gonna
changed.
say
Like in
old
the
modern.
90s?
Yeah.
You know, when they had full continuity, and then those same readers now read, the current stuff, and I want to see like their
like the comparison to media where you had
Well,
like the Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno on TV, and then you had like the various other small time shows.
When me and Darren were like growing up, and we had just gotten into X-Men, the only little toys that we had to play with as far as action figures went is a little like X-Men role-playing game that we had bought, and they were little cardboard miniatures that we had to fold up and tape. And we played X-Men with these things.
Yeah, we didn't have before Toy Biz came out with them.
Figures.
That's awesome. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But when it came to the comics, I mean, you would get there was continuity to the story, and there were big events, but they were usually they weren't every 6 months or whatever, or every like big thing. It was more like, okay, like going with X-Men. I mean, we had like the Extinction Agenda, like dealing with Genosha and stuff like that. And something major would happen, like Warlock died. And where everyone's like, oh, that's crazy.
And it would be like every 3 years.
And teams would kind of like change up a bit. And then it would kind of go to another point. And there might be like a milestone, because then like the whole Muir Island saga happened with like Legion going crazy and the Shadow King. And then, like, we had X-Men #1, because then they made a second X title because X-Men was getting popular. So you had Uncanny and X-Men. And then they kind of went on a bit, and then you had Extinction Agenda. So not Extinction Agenda, Executioner Song. So between those three, it was about, like, 5 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, like, new event, reboot, new event, reboot.
If you think about it, like, if you go back to the original Secret Wars, when was the next time we had another event after Secret Wars?
Yeah.
Jesus, 10 years.
Well, I feel the heat coming from you guys. So I think we should, carry that one on for a topic. Not next week, but
in the future.
weeks to come.
You brought it up.
Yeah, I brought it up. I gotta shut it down.
Yeah.
So as usual, we do our picks for next week, and I'm gonna let Darren start it off this time.
Uncanny X-Men #5, Magneto versus the Dark Riders solo.
Ooh,
Think
man,
you
that should be good.
Yeah, it's Magneto.
Should we say Magneto on a hard drive, because he's going to use his body to kill the rest of it?
Everyone's got iron in their blood. You're dead.
Yeah.
He's gonna rip some stuff up, I think.
For sure. I mean, he already messed with them. It was an Uncanny 4.
Yep. Like they were nothing.
Yeah, it was just like, you guys done yet back there or what?
Oh, continue. I'm having fun.
Yeah. All right, Danny, what do you got?
My picks is gonna be going for Deathstroke #16.
Stroking.
Absolutely looking forward to the book. As always, Tony Daniel has excellent art, and the story has been floating pretty well. I constantly look forward to the title, and next week is no different. I tried to get a New Mutants or New Teen Titans #2 at the con, but I couldn't find a decent copy for less than $125. So, yeah. But anyway, Deathstroke #1's my pick, or Deathstroke #16.
Yeah, 16.
That's cool. I got my Battle for the Cowl signed by him, all 3 issues.
Very nice, very nice.
Tony Daniel's awesome. Draws the best Deathstroke in the biz.
Hell yeah.
My pick, no surprise, Batman #50.
Oh,
yeah.
Just can't wait.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne's back.
Enough said.
Oh yeah, enough said. I do like how you were so willingly to give up Batman 50 to Cam, though.
Yeah,
he looked at the phone first, okay? If you would have handed me the phone first.
Exactly.
It's a good compromise.
Yeah, you guys take.
I like Deathstroke enough that I was willing to hand it over.
And Tony Daniel's one of your favorite.
Hell yeah. Tony S. Daniel, by the way, props.
Yeah.
I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Ooh, so you guys are actually Facebook official. So my pick for next week would be Carnage. I think #6 is coming out. Incredible book. Butch.
Cletus.
I keep thinking Butch Cassidy. Every time I talk about him, I'm like, Butch Cassidy. Like, no, that's not right. Oh, yeah. Cletus Cassidy, straight up awesome. I know they just had a big symbiote war, so it's incredible.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys have any closing thoughts for this one?
No, I mean, I just, we had a credible time at the convention. As these guys said, if it's the first time you've ever gone to a convention, I would leave it to one day and have fun, check it out, and do what you want to do there best. If you're an anime guy, look around for that stuff. There's plenty of everything.
Oh yeah, and I forgot I found mystery boxes.
Yeah.
Oh, there was tons of
yeah.
I was thinking about getting one, but I saw 2 people open it. I was extremely disappointed.
Me too,
So
and
I
that's
didn't
why I
bother.
kind of avoided it.
Yeah, I would have one sitting here if I didn't see those people.
So there's a wise thing. Spend your money like wisely in what you really want to get.
For sure.
Instead of X Nation, it should just be Geek Nation. It is C2E2.
Yeah.
It's the haven for geeks.
Yes.
Although I was complimented many times on my Cyclops is right shirt and got into one almost argument.
And I saw you found one of your duplicates when you were.
I
multiple
did.
man.
Actually, I found another one. There were 3 multiple mans walking around the con.
That's funny.
But you let your dupes keep doing their thing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, everybody, as always, thanks for watching. We're getting better and better and growing. So keep sharing, keep liking, keep commenting. We're loving every bit of feedback we're getting.
Yeah, even tell us what we're doing wrong. If you don't like something that we're doing, throw us a shout out. Let us know.
Yeah, we haven't had
We
bad
love
feedback.
constructive criticism. Bash us if you want.
Contact us on social media.
Darren don't like constructive criticism. He likes his ego fed. So if you want to
Very much so.
feed that ego.
Tell him he's pretty. And
I am pretty.
See, he knows, but he likes to be told.
You're cute too.
Oh, thanks.
He also smells just fine. So, as always, thank you again. You guys have a great week in comics.